a guy that went through his own version of Camp Kyle back in the day, but he had two-a-days when Camp Kyle was going back in the early part of the 2000s, is Robert Johnson, who's kind enough to join us right now here on the Bill Riley Show. Robert, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How's life treating you?
It's always one of those tough things when you ain't got football, but you make the best of it.
Well, yeah. Well, you had your time, right? You had your time with football. Now you're just sitting back and enjoying as a fan.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that you just can't close that hole in your heart. If it's something that you love the most, it's hard to kind of move on without feeling like you're not done. So I don't think I'll ever be done with football.
So it's this time of year when camp's about to roll around, you start to get that feeling of football, huh?
Yeah, it's the little things. Like currently, my son, he was playing football, and I had to remember that I can't be standing on the field like I'm like standing on the field like I'm playing. I was wearing cleats and stuff to the game just to kind of watch him perform, and I'm not even coaching.
So now I got to ask you, how are you? Are you one of those former football player dads? Do you sit back and let him make the mistakes? Or are you yelling like a coach on the sideline? How are you at your son's games?
I'm pretty calm and relaxed. I kind of sit back and kind of just let him kind of handle it. The only reason I step into some of the stuff is when his emotions is not there, and I try to explain to him that you're going to have some bad plays. Some people are going to pull your flags here and there, but if you don't want nobody to pull your flag, score a touchdown. If you don't want them scoring, pull their flag. So I try to control his emotions by being calm, collective, chilling, sit back, just let the coach do what they're supposed to be doing is coaching my son.
How long did it take you to learn that lesson? Were you in high school? Were you in college? How long was it before you – because I've always known you as a pretty even-keel, big smile guy, but I'm guessing you weren't always that way, were you?
No, you got to remember some of those big games that comes up, too much smiling shows a weakness. So I always told myself that if I'm going to step out on the field, I'm going to make sure that I have fun, but then also know that when it's critical points in the game, I know I need to tighten up and get out there and make plays to help my team win.
Well, you did plenty of that. Walk me through, because I don't know that you and I have ever talked about your journey to get to the University of Utah. How does Robert Johnson, Southern California kid, end up at Utah?
Well, first off, the state of Utah kind of embraced me and took me in. So, I would love to say I love this state out here. I love the University of Utah, and I love Salt Lake City and the state of Utah in general. It just happened to be that, I hate saying a team down south and that team down there, but Coach Sataki, he's the one that came and got me from LA. I had a strange story that kind of worked itself out where I went to 3 different high schools, then the junior college, and Coach Sataki came down to watch Josh Brodin play for Citrus College, and I just happened to have a real good game, and to me it was pretty normal. And then that's when the dominoes started falling, where Coach Sataki came back the following week, got me a plane ticket. First time on a plane coming to Utah, came up, first time leaving my neighborhood. And it was a wonderful experience when I came up. And then all of a sudden that's when everything started to happen, where all the good, positive things that I was doing out in the open was starting to help me be successful on the football field as well as there at the University of Utah. So
we get to thank Kalani Sitake for bringing Robert Johnson to Salt Lake City.
Yes. He was the one that seen a little skinny kid running around the football field, and he the one that had the hopes of, I know that you're going to come in and do something good. And then when I came, Coach Anderson, the defensive coordinator, he seen something in me too, as well as Coach Witt. And all of a sudden, it just all started rocking and started rolling together, where everybody was really cool with me. And strength and conditioning coach, Coach Ellisai, between him and Greg Argis, them two really helped me a whole lot. They helped me see the benefits of working out and trying to get bigger.
Well, there's no doubt about that. Not that you're big now, but you were skinny as a rail. Really skinny when you got to Utah, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was not working out. I was so used to playing in my hood back in LA, where you don't stretch, you don't warm up, you just go out there and play. You got your cleats, put on your cleats and go play. If you ain't got cleats, you still go out there and play. So I had to learn the basics of stretching, lifting weights, and longevity of your body when it comes to playing sports.
We're talking to Robert Johnson, former Utah safety, here on the Bill Riley Show today on ESPN 700. How long did it take you to make that adjustment? Once you got on the field because JC guys, they go one of two ways, Robert. You know this. When you played JC, you don't have as much time as somebody that came in straight from high school. When you're JC, you usually have about 2 years, so they expect you to come in and play pretty quickly. Was your transition a tough one, or did you make it pretty smooth?
It was tough. It's always tough. Going from going to a new state, meeting new people, seeing a new culture. It's always tough. It's never anything easy. The only thing that I had that was in my corner was that I had the coaches that was willing to allow me to play whatever position that they felt that I wanted to play, because my body was not big enough to play safety. My body wasn't big enough to play corner. And then it's just I wasn't super fast enough to play receiver. But Coach Witt allowed me, like my first camp, my first summer camp, I remember doing 2 practices. Like, you normally have practice A and practice B, because practice A, you're on the field. And then whoever that's not on the field is lifting weights. So then for me, I had to practice both. I had to practice A and B. I had to be the one that was playing offense at B practice, then playing safety or corner at A practice. So, it got to a point where it was like, Robert's a wild card. We need to figure out where to place him. But then Coach Witt and Coach Anderson, they all came together and just made it an easier transaction. It's like, Rojo, what do you want to play? And I'm like, I can play defense. I can get interceptions and I can score a touchdown. So it was like pretty fun.
I'm surprised they gave you that option, because mostly they just tell you, we're moving you over to defense, right?
Yeah, that's what it felt like. But then I think them giving me that option where it's like, we got to figure out, like, I mean, Coach Witt is that mastermind, that chess player that he looks at players and he don't look at them at what they can do at that position. He looks at them at what they can do to help the team. So that's one of the biggest things that I loved about me coming to Utah, was that he looked at me as a player that can help the team and not help a position. So that made it that much better for me to be there and, like, make that adjustment of saying, hey, I want to play safety, even though Steve Tate was already established. He was a senior. And then Joe Dale, he'd been there for 2 years. So I already knew that, like, me playing wasn't going to help, but then at least he allowed me to pick a position that I felt comfortable playing at, and it all worked itself out.
Well, there were 3 guys. I mean, there were you and 2 other guys that moved from offense to defense that went on to have NFL careers. You did it, Sean Smith did it, and Paul Kruger did it too. And you guys all went on to play in the NFL.
Yeah, and that shows right there that Coach Witt, he has an eye for, like, looking at players and trying to figure out what can help the team, not what can help this player get to the NFL, what can help the team. And it felt like most of the time that those decisions that he was making, it worked out for us to play in the NFL. Like, it's pretty crazy that you don't see that long journey until you realize that Coach Witt is doing something that works and doing something that's helping the record get better and helping the university get better.
It's got to be easier for him now, although it was maybe easy there, because he can point at a lot of guys. And he now uses you and Paul and Sean and some other guys as examples of guys that came in as offensive players. They got moved to defense. Heck, a guy this year, Josh Nurse, who's going to play corner this year for Utah, came into the program as a JC wide receiver, and now he's going to play corner.
Yeah, and I've been keeping up with my Utes a little bit by reading up on a couple of things. And he's one of those players that's definitely going he don't have no ceilings right now. Like, he's a natural talent. He was really good at receiver, but most of the time, Coach Witt take that gambling shot where it's like, let's hope that he's good on the opposite end. But if you're a football player, you're going to make the best of whatever position that you at.
Talking to Robert Johnson here on the Bill Riley Show today. I want to ask you, because going into 2008, I had Sly on the show with me the other day. And Sly said you guys knew starting in 2007, and maybe it was that UNLV game where Coach Witt lost his mind because you guys didn't play very well there. I think he still calls it the most embarrassing loss of his career. But I don't think it was Frank the Tank. What's his name? You guys couldn't tackle him to save your lives that day. But anyway, Sly said once off-season conditioning began after 07 heading into 08, you guys knew you had a really good team. I don't know if you knew you had an undefeated team, a team that could beat Bama and go 13-0, but you knew you had a really good team. What was that off-season like? When did you know personally, Robert, that 2008 was going to be a really good year?
Well, I mean, just like you said, that embarrassing loss, I mean, it was tough for all of us that year. Like, having that big game against UCLA, then turning around and then losing to a team that was not even – they only supposed to win like 3 games, I think, that year. And, us losing that game, it was a big shocker. Like, I think it was a gut check for all of us that after that game. And then, we went on to win a whole lot. But then going into the offseason, we started to look at our play. We started to look at defense-wise. I wouldn't say offense-wise, but defense-wise. We started to look at each other as in, like, we got some talent in every level of defense. Like, we had good linebackers. We had Steve. We had Sly. I was about to say Steve, but we had Sly. We had Mikey Wright. We had Keppa Geisen. We even had some of the freshmen that was really good, like my boy Mo Neal, Jamel King. Like, we had good backups, and it was like looking at the linebackers was good. And looking at our D linemen, you had Greg Newman, Kanape, Paul Cougar, you had a Koa Misi, and then on the bench, coming off the bench, you had Derek Shelby coming off the bench. Like it was one of those things where it's like we have depth, and then looking at the defensive backs, we all understood each other with Sean Smith, Bryce McCain, Joe Dell, then me. Then we had backups, Terrell Cole. We had R.J. Stanford coming off the bench. We had Brandon Burton coming off the bench. So, we had players. And it was like, how can we get all these players to play? And Coach Anderson made it really good for us where he came up with a game plan every week. And sometimes those game plans involve having four safeties. Having four safeties on the field compared to having one safety on the field. He just, figured it out. And during that offseason, we all started looking at each other like, we can make this happen with the personalities that we have and the will to win, but then also being able to play within a team. Because we understood that no matter what, as a defense, we control our destiny on defense. We can control everything. If we decide that we don't want our offense to score at practice, that's going to make them better because they're going to line up against a top three defense at practice every day, no matter what. So that was our goal on defense. Offense-wise, me talking to D-Mac a lot, Darrell Mack, talking to him a lot when we was in the dorms together, I think they had something special too where they just need to figure out how can they at least set us up and put us in a good position. And there was a lot of times that we was on defense-wise, we wanted to be in a bad position and see can we test our will and what can we get out of it,